Kalyani, please introduce the speaker. We can.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Let me briefly introduce our speaker, which Mr. Amod Desai, and he has written a riveting piece of book, um, The Echoes of Faith, the 500-year Odyssey of Janmabhoomi. He has put in lots of data and details and also historical perspective about the book. It is very factually inquisitive to go through this book. And many of the facts that even I was surprised to hear, even though I have familiar with many of the topics, and many of them he has provided a strong foundation about that. So I really thoroughly enjoyed the perspective he presented and the holistic view that he has provided through the book, and how he is segregated from the historical times, and then before the Mughal era, then before the British era, and after the independence in the current era. So he has systematically analyzed and given different sections about it. So briefly, then Mr. Amod Desai will be talking about it. Then we'll go through the Q&A session about it. So welcome, Mr. Amod Desai. We are really delighted to have you here. And it is absolutely a pleasure to have this book available, which is documenting the enormous amount of factual data, and also which is very dear to not only to the Sanatana Dharma, but also looking at the actual fucking data from multifaceted, the cultural, political, religious aspects of it. Thank you so much for your effort. Thank you so much for putting it together. So thank you, sir.
Thanks, Kalyanji. I'm very glad to be part of this morning discussion about the book. I've made sincere effort to really bring about a clearer understanding about what this fight was, impartially, but also regarding the ethos of our very existence as a culture. So I've been doing some kind of a research for a while in a stopgap arrangement, and then certainly this time just propelled me to complete that book. And here I am, trying to discuss and ask. Bring up anything that all of us who are on the call to discuss about. And thank you for having me and hosting a book review.
Thanks so much. Do you want to give a brief summary of it? If you want to, otherwise we can directly jump into the Q&A.
Yeah, let me give few a minute or so. Okay. So for those who have had a chance to just go through just the overview of the book, or somebody who has just read in detail, this 1 minute can be really helpful for understanding the outline of the book, or you can say the framework of the book, right? So 500 years is really a long time to really put this into you can say a smaller condensed page. And now why the condensed page of 250 pages? Because see, in today's world of internet, our younger generations, they have a very short span of time. It's not because they have less intellect. It's just because there is so many things to do in this world of today's information technology age. And with the advent of AI, it's going to be much more difficult to focus on certain things and then move on. So I try to keep the book in a very subtle way to provide information and then a part of analysis. Keep it very factual, not feeding up with a lot of dates, but making it contextual. There is a popular myth about, and I'm saying it's a myth with a confidence that any Ramayana or Mahabharata is taken as a mythology, right? Again, the myth and the mythology, they rhyme together, but they're not. That's not coincidence. It has been systematically ingrained within our younger generations that Ramayana is a mythology, and so is Mahabharata. you know. But the way our Indian culture or ethos, they document history, it's not a straight line history. It's a combination of culture, time periods, what values that particular time period brings in, and who are the actors, characters. Is similar to like a movie that it comes out. So if you step back and understand that part of the culture of India, the way of narrating the history, which is called, it's not just his story, it is basically an itias, means as it happened. I have put a small chapter, or you can say a bonus addition of describing what is the difference between a history and a itias at the page for a younger generation who does not have a clearer understanding about it. Even though they can Google it, but it's better to find in the book. Another part of the framework I really thought about was if I just give it chronologically, one after the other, you might lose woods for the whole jungle, you know. So I try to keep it from a very simplistic understanding about having to wear multiple hats at different times, so that if we are focusing on the legal aspect, there might be some areas which take you beyond the before the age and time to correlate to that particular the point about the legal aspect, and so on and so forth. And I made an honest uh, uh, suggestion, or you can say honest confession, that as you're going to start reading from this particular chapter, please think in different way. And when I'm in chapter number 5, I'm telling them, it is important that you read chapter number 4 or 3, because that will give you the full length of understanding. So this is how the framework of the book has been, trying to keep it really virile, try to keep it very fast paced, but also addressing all the underlying resolve of all over Hindu community, Hindu consciousness, and Hindu understanding about our ethos, to really give a tough fight, you can say resolute fight, to bring about building up of our Ram temple in Ayodhya. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. That is very good. You summarized it very well, Amodji. Like I said, the context you have portrayed, like the same thing you mentioned about in, I think, chapter 6, you mentioned about it is very important to go through the historical perspective of the previous 5 chapters, and then you dive into the 6th chapter. Similarly, you are also mentioning about the chapter 4 and 5 is critical, and you talked about why chapter 4 and 5 was critical in order to see that what you're going to discuss about in the chapter 5 like that. So it gives the context to decide it. Once the reader gets the context of it, have the historical perspective about it, then get a holistic picture about how it has been and how we have been. Everyone have a different, obviously, perspective, but they can see it through their own prisms as well. So
yeah. It kickstarts into their brain to think about something. Okay, I missed this point. Maybe I have to go back and see. That's how our brain also works in this way as a psychology.
very true, very true. Okay, so with that, I think we can go into the questions. I have a number of questions, and I think we can interpose with my questions as well as the other audience's question
Yes,
as well.
please. Yes, please.
First one is, thank you. First one, you have talked about the Sri Ram and Ramayana's influence on Indian culture, and also in the tale, and then various in Indian art and culture, literature, that is well documented and mostly aware of it, at least for a previous generation. Also, you mentioned about its impact beyond Hinduism in other cultures in Asia, Europe, and Americas.
Yes.
And I give an example in Thailand, right? There is in Southeast Asia, Ramakien in Thailand, Thailand, and then Rinkhir in Cambodia. And I give an example about Ramakien, the culture,
Yes.
well, the folklore, even the central part of this folklore is there, and there is a painting in Bangkok's Wat Phra temple there. So, is there any other examples that that has been ingrained, also taken up? Obviously, that is, you can see more in Indian subcontinent.
Yes.
Like other examples that you can see that
Yes.
to see that to see that how prevalent it was there, even it exists even now. But so many things has changed in over the decades, over centuries.
Very true. Very true. So, as you mentioned in the book, the city that they built on the lines of Ayodhya, they named it as Ayutthaya in Thailand. So you can see the impact of Ram, Lord Ram, was across the world. Now I did not add this particular thing in the book. That's because I couldn't really go in the depth of trying to get the data out of it. Hence, I wanted to keep. That's why it's out of the book. But I can really share as a verbatim with every one of us that in Iraq, when there was an excavation going on, I mean, there is always the war going on, but also good things are happening. There they found as you find a temple in Saudi Arabia, they also found a temple-like structures in Iraq. Okay, one of the walls had a king-type personality with a bow and arrow. Okay, and then on praying that person was a monkey god, right? And that's attribute to be Lord Ram and Bhagwan Hanuman as a portrait in a small place in a remote areas of Iraq where you wouldn't find a temple in present days because of, you can say, thousands of years of destruction and war that has been going on. But that basically propels us to think that before this annihilation of, you can say, the Abrahamic religions that came across in 2000 AD, what was there before? Like the Greek civilization was known as pagan civilizations, but really the pagans was a name given in the later date. What were they known? Where is there a similarity between Zeus of Greece and Lord Indra of our Hindus? How the combination works? Was Lord Ram also made an impact? So there are few things that have not in the book, but you can go beyond and then do your search to find out that impact of Lord Ram was across culture, across time, and across civilizations. No?
Very good, very good. Well put, Moji, very well put.
So, Amoji, if I may just ask you, why did they worship this Sri Ram? I am forced to say,
Wonderful.
phrase it like, why so much venerate a character called Sri Rama? I'm deliberately saying this because, this is how I've read it in my textbooks, a character called Sri Rama.
Yeah, see, that's the way they try to characterize the real faith of somebody they would detest, right? But I don't want to go in that beating part. Let's address your question directly, like why Rama, right? You think about it as a person. He Bhagwan Ram, he really took the onus of setting up the moral fortitude of a society, right? He showed how to be a good human, how to be an ideal son, right? I'm not going to details about what he did, but certainly there are in all in Ramcharitramanas or in Valmiki Ramayana, you will find so many instances where how to be a good student, even for his teacher when he goes out to marry Sita, right? So how to be a good enemy as well. He did not kill Ravana with any cunningness, right? He literally took it as in the battlefield to defeat him. Once he came back, he ruled, of course, the Ramarajya, which is very famous for in his aftermath of you can say the battle with Ravana. At just one instance of his one of his subject bringing out a doubt about his kingship, he gave away everything or his family life again with his two sons and his wife just to be shown as a ideal king, right? He's the one who really created the pathway for the humanities to come after him for, you can say, forever. It's not just in one time for one civilization. He showed a pathway to the humanity in what it is, how a human Mahapurush should be, right? That's why it's called Maryada Purushottam Bhagwan Ram, because beyond him there is nothing. Ram is culture, right? Ram is ethics, right? Ram is really the ideals of what we believe in, and hence the way his life, with the pain he has taken in his life, and overcoming that pain coming out victorious, and then still keeping your pose, posture, composure, and then the dignity that you live with is really what every human being should espouse, you know. And that's why we venerate him as a Lord Ram. Hmm?
Um, one more question, Amoji. So was he a misogynist? Did he abandon his wife? To that, what was, and to somebody who did that, why venerate Sri Ram?
Okay, so one thing is that, you know, I have not done very detailed study about Ramayana. Okay, but I will tell you what kind of understand from. He did not banish anyone, right? So he did not banish his wife Sita to go away with just living in jungles and all. Basically, he they she did not she couldn't find a place in the kingdom. That was the understanding about what is there in the Valmiki Ramayana. Okay, so you can disowning personally and disowning through as a king are two different dharmas. You can say Raj Dharma, and then you have say a personal dharma. So that's where the difference is. Okay.
That's a very good, Tamoji. That's very, very important distinction. I
Yeah.
also learned it very later. We have a Swadharma, so dharma for individual,
Yeah.
and then you have the Raja Dharma. Then you have a Paradharma, Raj as the king. So obviously he adapted to the highest principle. So that is very, very important to distinguish,
Yeah.
to have that. And in a way, in fact, you have answered the second question by Sundiji as well. Like I have similar questions about, you have talked about the symbolism of Rama Janmabhoomi and why he was not just a historical like epitome of dharma and bhakti, but why we venerate him so you have very well explained it through this answer.
I think if you
And
contextualize it to the modern times, it's easier to explain by invoking the concept of conflict of interest. And that was Lord Rama's way of resolution of conflict of interest. In his role as the king, he was performing Raj Dharma.
Mm.
In his role as husband, that was his personal issues. So he resolved the conflict of interest by taking the higher road, sacrificing the personal issues over the higher duty as a ruler he was enjoined.
Right. See, my guru speaks. Yes, Adina is correct. Yeah, very much true. Mhm.
yeah,
Elangit. Mhm.
yeah, the next question, you mentioned about the Ikshwaku dynasty, the Ikshwaku dynasty in the context of Indian history mentioned holds a great significance. Obviously, like it is mentioned in Mahabharata and various Puranas. And Prince Bharata, a descendant of Lord Ram, after whom Bharata is
Yes.
traditionally named, and a ruler of Ikshwaku dynasty. I also remember this primary school reading this King Bharata who ruled the country is called Bharatam. In Tamil, we say
Yeah.
Bharathan on the Nadu Bharatam. Bharathan on the Nadu Bharatam. So that is very, very important. I don't see that nowadays. So is there any other references which says that it comes from the Ikshwaku dynasty and specifically from Bharata, where you mentioned a couple of instances from Mahabharata and that you can elaborate it that got the name Bharatam, Bharat.
Yes, yes. So I know I will tell you something, right? We, as our generations, when we grew up, we really learned more of our history through Amar Chitra Katha, if
Yeah,
everyone remembers that, right?
yeah,
Uh, we basically not only understood about our Indian culture, but we also learned a lot of the basic characters and then characterism of our Hindu culture. We learned a lot of ethics, a lot of morality through that. I don't know where Amar Chitra Katha nowadays is, but certainly we gained a lot of understanding about Ramayana and Mahabharata from that. Now, if you coming to your question, yeah, Shvaku dynasty is called actually a Sun dynasty, where you have great kings like King Raghu, you have great kings like Raja Harishchandra. But Raghu was the great grandfather of Bhagwan Ram. Hmm? And after him, you had more generations when Bharat and Shantanu, they were also part of the same lineage, right? So you can see the timeline between Ramayana occurring before and then Mahabharata coming up in the later, much later times when Lord Krishna, as the avatar of Bhagwan Ram, came up again. Now, in one of the Amar Chitra Kathas, I had read this and vividly discussed, understand about a book, Amar Chitra Katha book on Karna. Okay, Karna, when he went out for an Ashwamedh across India and for winning small kingdoms and winning the victories, when he was on the doorsteps of Ayodhya, he did not attack Ayodhya. In fact, he stopped his army. He went to the Janmabhoomi temple, Ram temple. He prayed there, okay, and then from there he went on to carry the Ashwamedha horse to another country to defeat. Country means the another kingdom to defeat. So this was the importance of any king or any emperor who were born later on after him to venerate that on the ideals of Lord Ram. We have to match those ideas if you want to do our Raj Dharma, you want to do a personal our personal dharma, or even if you want to become a good son of your mother who had already abandoned you, like if you talk about Karna, because we are at that topic of Karna. So inculcating those values in that was since the generations of that time. And this Karna's uh, 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 story, it really resonates with me because I used to rate Karna as a very great warrior. I used to like him a lot when I was in my kid days. So because of his sacrifice of not fighting from Pandava's side, even after knowing that he was the son of Kunti, he still stuck with the dharma of being with somebody who uplifted him from poverty. That was Duryodhan. So that's how basically Ramayana, Lord Ram, with his personal life, he has set examples of anybody and everybody to really how to live their life and what are the cause of living to your life.
Very
Wow.
nice, very nice.
Yes.
Amoji, I mean, would you say that there was somebody called Sri Ram in history, right? And then he was later deified. What is the traditional view about that?
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, so let's take that as an example, right? So, before Bhagwan Ram and after Bhagwan Ram, there have been thousands and thousands of kings across all places, right? You have to understand a person, sorry, the creation of anyone, any person that comes to this abode, right? Why they came, what is the purpose of their existence in this world, in this life, right? Okay, somebody living at a higher moral ground of giving personal sacrifice. Now, who would go out for 14 years in that abject jungle without any food or proper clothing, in just one cloth, and then go out in jungle to live for 14 years just because of one you can say pratigya of his father again to his mother, right? For to Kai. So you can understand the sacrifice he had given at every step, every moment of his life, right? And then when he was to be coronated, he gave up his crown as well. In modern days, or even in the past, there was not instances at that time that this would occur at any moment of time. So when a human performs something beyond his capacity, uh, it basically he's called God. Okay, that's our mentality. You can say human psyche. That's why we call Sachin Tendulkar also as God, right? God of cricket. We gave him that purpose because we know he's gone through such a rough times where the best of the ballers were trying to get him out. I'm not comparing both together, but you understand why the thinking comes out of us as a humans, that we see the pain, we see the suffering, we see the humanity, and out of that, keeping your moral, high moral values, keeping your ethics, and coming out of those tough times, and coming up to be an what do you say, a venerated figure by not just one, two, but everybody. That's why we then, over generations, we build up to say, it is an incarnation of God. That's because of his actions. Only God can do this. Nobody else can do it. You know?
If he was, like you say, an incarnation of God, he also cried when he was separate. He wept when he was separated from Sita. So how do we describe that? I mean, and he was not omniscient, right? He didn't know where Sita was.
Yeah,
Like, he had to send Hanuman. I mean, he had to send everybody. Hanumanji had to go to Lanka. So then, how can he be God?
correct. Very good. Very good. So see, we are okay. You're taking me into the point of where we are discussing about uh, uh, our two-dimension, three-dimension universe, and then there are something called fourth and fifth dimension where you see across the time zones, right? Across the timelines, not the time zones as well. There are Rishi Munis who could go across the times and figure it out where we are, and that's what is called metaverse as well. Just to take you in today's context of how the worlds are created. But if somebody wants to go back in time, front forward, they can do that. But certainly speaking, he was a human, as a God incarnate. He had to live according to the rules and law of physics that brought him here in this three-dimensional world, right? So technically speaking, if you ask him, oh, if he had been a god, then he wouldn't have allowed Ma Sita to be taken away in the first place. Well, in our times, we really don't know what is going to happen the next moment. I don't know what's going to happen next moment, right? But we live on the life. That's when it's the rules of the nature, law of physics, law of everything that binds to anybody who is born in this earth. And when he leaves, of course, they leave at that time as well. So somebody that takes birth has to die. So that law can never be broken. So that's again holding up that important aspect that I am not come here to break the law. I am here to uphold the law of everything, of law of physics, about science, about everything. That's why he's law in himself. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Amod. So just a question. So why is he venerated across, like, for so many millennia? How did they connect to this person? Like, why have we have lost a connect? Like, if we teach Ramayana to today's generation, then I do not know how much they will, resonate with the character of Rama, because we because of certain things. So if that is the case, now why was he venerated over millennia?
Okay. So
Oh,
again, I will tell I don't know whether you have any kids or not, but because you said, but when we teach our kids, think about it this way, right? You are going to teach your kids the value system of how to be a good person, right? You're going to teach them be ethically good, be morally right, you know, uh, try to live the life of a honest human, which you will not, so that you don't get into trouble of breaking law and all those things, right? When you're going to do that, you're going to give an example of your father, okay? You will give an example of your husband, okay? or your brother or somebody close to you, right? But beyond that, you have you need to kind of show that this has been going on for ages together. This is not just for this generation. You have to continue that legacy of being good across across your generations, right? So then that's when you kind of deify the person who has lived that life of high morality, and that's where Lord Ram comes in the picture. Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful, Ramoji. Very, very nicely, but I really liked it. Like you said, he played the role, even though he is an incarnation, he played the role of a perfect human being on all the adversities from the beginning on various perspectives, played all the different adversities. So very well put, Ramoji. And no, one other question on the similar context. I think in your book you are talking about Yuan Swang's observations of Ayodhya, and you mentioned about Ayodhya the traveler's perspective, right? The Yuan Swang he offers a unique perspective about a city, capturing its status on a 17th century, how it was, and he gives a historical account and total another layer of understanding Ayodhya's rich and multifaceted history. And especially it holds importance because he is he's a Chinese scholar and Chinese traveler. As
Yes.
an external expert, he captured it and he provided a historical context about it from a cultural, religious, and social dynamics from a historical perspective. So does he do you have any other examples or anecdotes to share
Yeah.
about how much of it is like advanced, sophisticated in the contemporary times? Obviously, when you're talking about 7th century, certain things are prevalent there from the cultural, religious, and social dynamics from his writings about Ayodhya.
Yeah. So I will just digress for few seconds from the point that we all know Bruce Lee and all his karate antics and his techniques, right? But many few people know that the 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 karate, or you can say the art form, originated from our southern India. Okay, from our
Mm.
south, that's
Kerala,
why, huh?
Kerala, Kalyar.
Kerala, Kerala, right, right. So you can see all of the dynasties before they had really mastered this art form. You see, Buddhism, of course, went through how this thing traveled. Yeah, basically, the Chinese scholars used to come. They used to translate all our scriptures, our ways of life, everything, and then they used to get educated on the other side of the Himalayas. Right. So this give and take has been going on since centuries, not just centuries. You can say thousands and thousands of years ago. Yun Seng was a typical example where it is said that he copied around 7,000 literature that was existence. This was before the pre-demolition by the Mughal, uh, uh, you can say aggressors, you can say, right? I will not call them victors, they were the looters. So when they burned all our Taxasilas and when they burned all our universities across the nation, really speaking, it was thanks to these Buddhist monks who had been here. They had translated a lot of things and they're taken out to Tibet in China and then saved lot many manuscripts across our nations together, right? So that's where we have the Valmiki Ramayana still in untouched, because we had that foresight that we need to preserve this and take it away. And so if you look at one traveler as you saying, he's fine, but there were different travelers who came across at different times. They were not so chronologically perfect in keeping all the records as what this particular traveler was. And all good, you can say good points to him for keeping those, treasuring those, and as well as to the Chinese culture, that they not only adapted it, but they also kept to the true times that, okay, this thing came from this particular country. Forget about today's government aspect, but certainly I know many Chinese friends, and they do understand, where this knowledge came from. Okay, that was kind of a partial answer to your question. Second thing is, Yoon saying really went in depth about understanding the culture and not just copying the manuscript. He he tried to identify what is the importance of Ayodhya. Then he found out that there were Jainism also started from Ayodhya, right? And the first Jaina Tirthankar actually was from the Surya dynasty. This is recorded in his book by Yun Seng. So this is how the impact of the travelers has come across our time period on our Ayodhya.
Okay. Okay.
Any questions?
Fine.
One historical point, Amodji.
Mhm.
This all of us are agreed that it's around 500 years, but probably we reckon it from the time of Aurangzeb, no, 1528. Is that the date from which we say that the resistance has started? Because the actual destruction has preceded it by centuries.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
possibly with Aurangzeb it declined, and so the resistance became more open. Is that how we calculate it?
Yeah. So I had the same question. They also find the same issue that the chronological keeping up of the history really started after Akbar really started making this Din Ilahi as his religion, as a new religion, and in his courts when it was it became the norm. Okay, let's keep the historical history of what is happening. Prior to that, there is Babarnama. Babarnama is supposed to be his Babar's way of telling history about his own self. In that Babarnama also, there is a mention of Janmabhoomi as one of the temples that was destroyed, right? So there it says about his about their conquest of Awadh as the principality. Now, once that is done, if there is a lull, because then the destruction of all the temples across northern India was happening in those 200 years between Babur and Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb really then started into the phase two of their agenda. That was once the destruction is done, now start converting in a large scale, or kill them. That was what was started by Aurangzeb as a zealot. Now, in that period, they were so sure that they will be able to convert the entire as Darul-e-Islam. They were so sure about it, and that's when they started making the at different places they started building the masjid. You can see even at the Kashi, you will see they started building the masjid in those time periods because they were very sure that they would convert everything, and they didn't know that there was a small principality that would become an empire that was from Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. They didn't know about that. As I mentioned some time ago, our Hindu culture brings up, or you can say, puts up one, because we are so much ingrained in our genetics that it puts up one person out there to really allow us to survive across the time period. So in between those time periods, there was no focus on Ayodhya as such, because they were looking at northern India as a whole to destroy, demolish, and bring about the Islam way of life in that portion. But was there a struggle there? Of course, the struggle was there. Was it recorded? Very thinly recorded, right? But there is a spot mention of it, but not a clear-cut historical lines. It got a kind of a broken history in between. But the destruction happened in time of Babur, and of course we fought every tooth and nail every time as per our capabilities.
And,
For the last
Pradeep
last
Mishra.
500
Pradeep ji want to say something?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have some points here, and one thing is this the way we talk about our literature, just like we call Rama, Karna, Krishna. These things come from English influence. The real words are Ram, Krishna, and Karna, like that. So why we try to anglicize these words when we know the correct pronunciation? We are Hindus and we know in Sanskrit how we pronounce these words. So this is my first question. We need to change that. And second thing is that we read Ramcharitmanas. Suppose somebody goes to temple, a pujari is reading Ramcharitmanas, Ramayana, like that. But what he is missing is the main point. He is missing teachings. What is the motive? And if we don't teach why Ram or Krishna did those things, that is the point. Because kids want to know, okay, Bhagwan Ram went to Lanka and he rescued his wife Sita.
Yeah.
He killed Rama. So why he did and why we should also do the same thing in this time, that is more important than just reading a book without understanding the meaning of those things.
Sure.
So I believe those things are really important, and until we do those things,
Sure.
just reading the book is not going to make sense. People feel disconnected. Okay, I'm reading a book, I'm not just getting the meaning of it. I'm reading just because I have to read. What is the meaning? That is more important. So we have to make it like this is Hindu thing, and we have to pronounce the names the Hindus do as in the Sanskrit is. And second thing is we need to teach really what is the meaning behind the actions of our Bhagwans. That's my point. Yeah.
Perfect. Pradeep ji, thank you. You have that light in you still, because you can understand that what is the correct way of pronunciation and your way of talking and everything. Let me take you back in the history, okay? When the first time when Muhammad Ghori he attacked India, he lost, right? And 150 years, again, they tried many times, but they were systematically annihilated. Even we had, I don't remember, the king of Kashmir, he even went ahead and took over Tajikistan. He had a kingdom of the whole Central Asia under him, ruled from Kashmir, right? Think about it this way, you as a person and your generation before, they have been fighting your neighbor for 100 years. You have morphed yourself, you have become more stronger, but physically, but you have lost all your time that you would have given to reading, learning, and then of course it has brought exhaustion to you. Same thing has happened to our Hindu culture, right? We have been fighting the foreigners for last 1,000 years. We have exhausted ourselves. We are in a way we try to bring up our strength again, and then again we have to fight back, and again we have to reassemble again disperse, again reassemble. This has been happening, but we never lost a resolve. In that period of exhaustion and fighting and regrouping again, there is some nuances that we kind of we forget our teachings for a while, but that does not mean that it has gone away from us. Right now, after our independence, since 2014. Why I'm saying 2014? Because the 5 years of Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji was just the foundation, where if you read in my book, they had, after 1992 demolition, they completely stalled the creation of Ram Janmabhoomi. They didn't want to open that chapter at all. It's the resolve of Atal Bihari Vajpayee government who said that let's begin the court case again. And the court was then ordered a ASI uh, excavation. That excavation could not really deny or defy the very basic logic that this was a temple on which the Masjid Doom was created, right? So you can see the fight and the resolve that has been going on, and it's happening even now, right? But it's not going to be forever. Our future generations, Pradeep ji, I have that foresight, and our future generations will really follow and try to pick up the strands of our old civilizational heights, to build up that. So for that purpose, we have to educate our future generations. We have to make them stronger, and then of course you keep that light in you, what you said, and then teach the kids around you that this is what our real ethos is. Okay, yeah, but
No,
never
that's
forget
correct.
our
Yeah.
exhaustion.
We have been
Huh?
fighting. We never, gave up. That's a good point. And
Yeah.
I have, faith in my future generations. They are learning and they are doing, really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a great thing. Yeah. Yeah.
When I was young, my father used to sing, "I don't know what will happen to my future generation." Then here I am. I'm talking about it. That look, I have a lot of what do you say, trust in our future generation, even though they are not thinking the way we think, so passionate. But as they grow older, they'll be much more passionate than we are. So we
That's
just have to have faith and then guide them in that direction.
That's true. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
One, would you say, Amodji, like when you talk about the Karsevaks, the 324 Karsevaks were killed in October 1990, would be the pivotal moment in awakening about what is happening in the name of
Yeah.
appeasement politics and vote bank politics in broad daylight. Would you say that even though it has been dating back, the moment was gaining momentum by the year, by the decades, by centuries, but would you say that one of the key triggering points, threshold point, we crossed to see that the mass of the Hindu people like able to see that we need to be aware of it. Obviously, 1980, that not much exposure about the media or other things, but still, would you say that would be a pivotal moment that tilted the balance to see that what is
Yeah.
going on?
So I will tell you, in 19, see, if you go in historically backward a little bit, 1984, VHP adopted the Ram Janmabhoomi temple as a goal to build, right? That was first step. Of all the things, I would pick that up as in modern times, okay? In modern times. Don't take me wrong, because there have been pivotal times in past. Like in 1955, when the Hanuman Gari Bairagis, they really fought out the Amir Ali's army and actually annihilated them to the submission and killing Amir Ali and then retaining our Ram Janmabhoomi as it is. That was also a turning point. But if you look at the modern times in current aspect, Vishwa Hindu Parishad under Ashok Singhal ji, when we picked up the Ram Janmabhoomi temple, which we were always involved in, but in a different form, not so much outward, but as a resolution. And then 1989, the Palampur resolution by BJP to pick up the Ram Janmabhoomi as a political issue, right? Those two really propelled what do you say, the political fight and then the social fight on that scale. Okay, so those were the things. The 1990 massacre of Hindu car sevaks was the outcome of the social awakening that was going on by VHP and our Sangh Parivar. Okay, Sangh Parivar has in a more better sense, because BJP also involved in it. Prior to that, there was Ramanand Sagar's Ramayan, right? I was there. I was young at that time.
Yeah.
It formed it created what do you say, a system of thoughts that, oh, that's where our culture is, right? Then at the same time moment, there used to be a serial called Chanakya. Okay, that brought from the old mythological mindset, it brought into the current. Oh, just 2000 saal pehle hua. Oh yes, Chanakya. I know. I read Chanakya Niti. Sam Dam Dandabhed. That psychic was growing on in the minds after 1984 resolution, right? So these things started getting in our society much more predominantly. And that time it was just Doordarshan, so it was like not very adulterated by the TV media channel. And then of course the 1990 really was the the push from the other side to subjugate our Hindu consciousness. Okay, I would take it in that way. I will not stop just over there. If you go little bit beyond, after demolition of the disputed structure, if you go beyond and just go to the 2002 murder of 16 S6 Bogie Godra at Godra, right? That was again they thought that we will kill them and teach Hindus the lesson, right? That was again it was more of a pushback from the other side rather than being pivotal from our side, because we as an organization, as a Sangh Parivar, we were growing and they had no idea how to control it. Okay, so that was, I would say that in that aspect, the modern time pivots is of course when the disputed structure was gone. That is a modern time in pivot. When you don't have anything to fight for, the other side they already lost it because they knew that it was not theirs anymore. Okay.
Very true. Very true. Like you touched upon the Ramayana TV serial from Doordarshan. You also mentioned also in the book about the Ramayana TV serial, its impact and the controversies and criticism surrounding that, right? You mentioned about there is some critics already argued about that it contributed to the politicization of the Hindu culture and reinforced certain stereotypes actually. And that is really, I heard that too. Like like I was thinking about, like did we give too much of importance to the political correctness while trying to look neutral to the majority of people, especially that majority of people are not aware of what is really going on. Our own cultural, historical, like antiquity, and have taken over that undue weightage by the media, politicians, and others about it. Because obviously, it is majority of them are Hindus and Indians are Hindus, and the Ramayana serial is widely like popular and accepted, and it is something not anything derogatory about it, but still some critics about it, and it's been highlighted. So are we giving like too much importance to the political correctness, not able to take a stand for others and the academicians to promote, or their selfish motives and vested interest in that?
True. So I will answer this question from the perspective of a student, right? So here we have Shruti ji, who just mentioned that she had to mug up whatever there in the history in a textbook, and the teacher should say that, don't believe in this, because the teacher knew this was wrong, but she had to mug up, and then because you need to get the points in the class, or you can either in the test and pass and move on to the another division. I would say the same mentality was there with all the book writers who were in those times, right? Look at the Nehruvian way of thoughts. He was nobody but a British stooge, I will say. It's a strong word, but we should be very frank in what it was. Where did Motilal Nehru, his father, where did he get money from to be a multi-millionaire, where whichever gate Nehru used to come out from his college, there used to be a car to take him to his home. He studied in Oxford, right? Where did he get the money from? There is no account of Motilal Nehru's father being any richer on money, having that much amount of money, right? There is an anecdote, not anecdote, it's basically Sarojini Naidu had said in one, and it's very popular now, that she said that it is very expensive to keep Mahatma Gandhi poor, right? And this was told by my mother. I remember that. My mother had told me, "Oh, don't worry, read about this Gandhi thing now," because in our school that was the time when we used to read about Gandhi, and it's such a great guy he was. Right now, I don't think so. So if you look at that genesis of the thinking of the Nehruvian politics, really started when they subdued our Lokmanya Tilak, our Bipin Chandra Pal, right? And Lal Bal Pal, and then Lala Lajpat Rai. These three people, when they subdued as saying that they are extremists, and then they propped up Mahatma Gandhi from some South Africa remote area, which he was actually he was working in their army, British army, and that's how that thinking came about appeasement, about bringing about the Machiavellian thinking of, you know, whitewashing all our history. And they tried this for 150 years under British rule, and then of course 70 years under our rule. But again, going back to our thoughts, you know, something is there in our genetics. You can take an Indian out of India, but you cannot take an India out of India, right? So this is the same situation, that, you know, you can take a Hindu out of, you can convert him, but you cannot take a Hindu out of that person's genetics. So that's where I would say that come what may, we will find our way out to be victorious.
Yes. Any one of listeners have any other questions?
I think there is a question on chat by, can you, yeah, by Taru Rai. So, Amoji, can you answer that?
What is the question?
So she says, sir, my question is, while writing about a topic which has historical, religious, and political angle to it, how do you restrict yourself to stick to facts and not be influenced by your own beliefs?
Very good. Thank you for asking this, Taruji. Let's talk about the book, right? So initially when I started, I mentioned that, you know, how our history is recorded by our Indian historians in Vedic times, or you can say in pre-invasion times, right? It's more contextual in nature. That's why we call it an itihas, iti and has. That is something that has happened. Okay, so if you look from that point of view, in my humbleness, I try to do the same within the book. In many times there are some things that I have actually lived my life through. So, for example, the 1990 massacre, I had read through in lot of times about the actual fact that has happened, the analysis that has occurred within when I was talking with my family, my father, and my friends on what's going on, and that has imprinted a lot of thoughts that I've carried forward into the book. But I have kept my commentary and my analysis to the minimum. The reason is why, because I as a person having a IT background, I have learned to be non-prejudicial within when you deliver a particular product. That is got ingrained because I've been doing this for last 30 years in my IT field. So if you look at the book, it provides you a lot of important data, may not be in the sequential order, but it will be in a order of relevance. So when you are talking about the legal cases, it will take back you to the time and then tell you that, you know, in those times, this is how the legal case was, and that's a relevance to the current legal case. And then, but if you want to, at that time, we will not talk about what happened in 1990 massacre by Mulayam Singh government. We'll not talk about that, or we'll not talk about Nehru's policy at that time. Those things will be in the policy section, where there is the chapter 5 is called Genesis of Parties Involved in 1947, right? It will take you back in the historical aspect of your what really the politics was, who were the organizations, what were their motivations, how they wanted to bring about their point of view or their agenda, and who are the players who were influencing those three organizations, the genesis of it, right? So this is how the book kind of takes up one core of inquisitive mind. Okay, because I would like to know the politics of something. I would like to know the legal case of something. I would like to know what is Ayodhya. I would like to know what is Ram, right? So starting from Bhagwan Ram, I've taken to what is Ayodhya, their importance, right? And after that, you go into the what is the basis of Ayodhya struggle, and then you start from the issue aspect of the politics, the parties involved, the legal aspect, the ASI, and then the events that has taken place in modern times, right? So this is how I have tried to keep it objective without giving my own point of view. Never in the book you will find, and wherever I have given my observations, I have said the author thinks this way. And then I kept it to a very bare minimum, you can see. And then the rest of it is more of making a reader understand how the process of the struggle has been evolving over a period of time. That is more than 500 years. Right, Taruji? And any follow-up question?
Tarji, you are on mute. If you are trying to talk, you are on mute.
She's
Unmute
replied.
yourself, please.
She's replied.
Okay.
No, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right.
If there are no more questions, then we can.
We are okay. Good that we didn't go in depth about Mahatma Gandhi, because I think that's a stale somebody we have to forget.
Yeah. One other question, Amod ji, like if I have more questions, but for the sake of time, we are already past the time. You mentioned about understanding the story of Aurangzeb essentially, his role, like formed the idea of Orthodox Islam and converting India into a Muslim country. So that is long back, and that formed, and then also that the idea led to the organizing the first Muslim Brotherhood. They talked about how the policies survived in thoughts and actions, even until his death until today. And he gave various organizations how in different ways, shape or form they propagate that. That is a kind of a shocker for me, even though I know that it is there, but I didn't know that it goes back that time from the Aurangzeb. So you portrayed it very well about understanding his story and his idea about it. What were the effects of it continuing and that encouraging that his idea of Orthodox Islam, like Tablighi, like is one of the best examples you've given, and others as well. But the Aurangzeb idea of Orthodox Islam at the cost of Sanatana, the tradition and culture. I'm not sure how many of the generally the temple going and the Orthodox Hindus aware of this, and to put them into context to see that what is going on.
Yes, absolutely right, sir. And good observation on that. If you look at consider humans, right, as a individual. If you leave a human, or you use the Habsburg law that he wants to find the security first, and then find food, and then start going up the social ladder, right? So, and once he has that social ladder at the top, he wants to stay at top, no matter what, hook or crook, right? Same thing happens to a religion as well. They want to find a social denomination, and then after that, they want to stay there. Once the Mughals, they found their denomination, and we Hindus are to our as an attribute that we accept anybody and everybody to be our brother, because we consider the whole nature as us, and we are part of the nature. We are just an extension of it. That's not the thought where the other part of the world they have, okay? Especially the Abrahamical religion. Nothing against them, but that's the way of their thoughts. And to change that, it has to come from inside. Now, who is stopping that for a natural evolution of anything to go to the next level? It is their own self. So when I was thinking this, why they cannot mature out to be where we are. We are more than 5,000, 10,000 years civilization. That's why we are mature. But the other religion, even though they're young in their growth, why they're not coming out of that mature to reach to that next level of maturity, right? And as I was doing the study about our Janmabhoomi history, I've been studying history for a while now. I read books, and then understood that okay, so there was this historical figure who was a tyrant, and he is the one who actually created the ghost of this Darul Islam. Babur came, he didn't come there to win over in India. He was happy because he knew that his counterpart, the Lodhis of the Delhi Sultanate, they were having all the richness, and they were just they were not doing the work of Islam, and he came as a looter, right? But when they established their Mughal empire here, they understood the real value of this land, and they say, okay, this should be a Islamic land. And of course, they already had that tradition of taking their Islam all over the world. But what made them India as the base? That's when the Aurangzeb really, when in my research, I found that Aurangzeb was a time when he really converted that, or you can say solidified that idea of creating a Darul Islam over here, and then the Muslim Brotherhood, and that's how he created those mechanism, and he used the state actually to convert each and every person whom they were able to convert, right? So if you come fast forward, and if you just try to apply your understanding, it is like an elephant sitting in the room. It was because he was behind you, you couldn't see it right away. But as you turn back and understand, oh my God, that shadow is of that elephant, which was there, which is in that room. So this is how I came to a point. I said, when I'm writing the book, let me spend some short time in trying to make our future generation understand that they don't hate the current population of the Muslims who are there in India, because they are really they share the same genetics. It's just that they are right now in a different path. We need to get them back again. Okay. And the ones who are stopping are really the people who are at the top, who have got money, and they want to perpetuate their all-time focus of keeping the divide between our society. Again, I will say, not because I want to patronize any kind of anybody or pander to anybody's thoughts. If you look from the time when Maratha Empire was there, from Maratha Empire to 16, or you can say 1750, to ultimately when British took over 1857, there was a time when the population of Muslims was very small. Okay, even though there was a lot of conversion happening, and in the same village you used to have Hindus more predominant, and Muslims being wearing dhotis, wearing all the kurtas, and they're living as Hindus. Okay, but this is just that they used to do namaz. That's it. In the modern times, in the times of Nehruvian and Gandhian philosophy of pandering and patronizing this caste and creed, they basically pushed across the Arabic way of Islamization of our population, right? And this is how the strength of that understanding came really from the Khilafat movement that was from Turkey. It actually originated from nothing but our own Bharat, our own India. That is started from Aurangzeb. Before that, there was nobody who was thinking in that terms to make the Darul Islam into such a force in the history ever before that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hmm?
Very nice, sir. Very nice. That's a very strong point to consider and to be aware of it as well. That really help us to see that where it is originated and how it has taken shape even now in the current, as of even in 2024. So a long way back, how much it has transformed itself and how it plays it in different dimensions as well.
Yes.
Very well, sir. Yes.
And just to give a little bit more historical, after 1857, when the first the creed of Ashrafiyas, who were under Shah Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was the last emperor of Mughal, they were displaced. They had no place in the political polity of Britishers at all, till the Macaulay report came up for us, that how to convert our country, our India, into their own Britishers English country. Okay, this is when they found out the fissures. Okay, so going back in the time, you had this Aurangzeb who really created this brotherhood, and we have to tinker on that, and then start bringing up this very thought of, they didn't plan the partition in 1885. Okay, when they created the Congress, they didn't plan that, but certainly it led the foundation stone of creating the discontent from that time onwards. Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about that too. You're talking about the Muslim elites when the British saw that initially when they want to have the independence, they are fighting together as independent, but when they want to divide, they're able to use that as a division to delineate between Hindus and Muslims. They
Yes.
target the Muslim elites and then to see that how they can separate it. Then after that onward, they're talking about they're having the partition a separate country as a primary agenda rather than getting the independence of the country, the united country they are living in. So that is a very strong observation
Yes, thank you, sir. And Nehru taking over 15th August 1984, 1947 is really the transfer of power.
Yeah.
In nowhere in the document it says independence of India, right? Independence of India really when we gave ourselves the constitution, and much before that, 22nd of October, when Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose mentioned that we are free country, Azad Hind Fauj, and
Yes.
Azad Hind was formed at that time. So it's a government in exile. It was really, it was given recognition by Japan, China, France in those times. Right? Even Russia gave the recognition as a free country, India, under Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose.
And he was the first one to have the flag, right? The official flag, and also printed the first currency for
currency. Yes.
India. Yes, initially, yeah. So though I was also surprised to see that after in 2024, coming across those facts with so after more than 75 years of independence, about these factual informations are coming to light so late. But I'm glad to, even if not too late, is better than never. So
Yes, better than never. Yeah, and thanks to the internet world.
Yes.
That we can converse across the seas and then bring about the actual assimilation of knowledge, thanks to the internet.
I have more questions, Amodji. Probably we are way past the time now, so I will reach out to you later outside this conversation. So we have lots
I'm
of
available
insights and
anytime,
lot of
sir.
research. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm available anytime. No problem.
Anybody has any other questions before we wrap it? Okay. So I guess not. So thank you so much, Amodji. Really appreciate your time, your wisdom and knowledge, and the research that you have put in to create this book, and also having the time to talk to us about sharing your wisdom, about clarifying our critical points and nuances. I really appreciate your kindness. Thank you so much, Amodji.
I'm honored to be here, and I really thank everyone, all the organizers to really give me this platform to talk about. Sutiji, thank you so much, especially to you to really organize this, answering to my silly questions, and then, trying to put up with me. Really, thank you so much for everyone, for all the work you've done.
Yes.
Yes.